Okay, I'll just go over a few sort of like things, tips on editing pages and posts and that sort of thing. So uh, if I click here, pages, I get a list of all these pages. If I want to go and have a look at the services page, click edit. And as you've probably worked out, because you've done some work on some of these pages, the pages are lined up in rows that then contain blocks, or actually rows that have columns that contain blocks. That's what it is. So, for example, if we go down to this one here, if I click there, I can see a column. If I click above it, I can see the row that contains that column. I can actually see that there's actually within it, within that row, there is 1, 2, 3 columns. I click above it again, I can see the row, and I can also see it here as well, that this is a 3-column setup. It's got a standard gutter size, which is the gutter going down here, and I use these columns and rows a lot because it does help to sort of like provide sort of structure to your content. Also, when we go down to looking things on mobile, these things collapse. So this will go first, this column will go second, that column will go third. So when you do it this way, it means that when you're doing it in a rigid fashion like that, when rows collapse, it all is all done very, very neatly into mobile structure. If if you don't actually use this sort of like the row structure, you find you have row characters here, there, and everywhere. So always create things within rows, and then define the columns, and then within the columns, you then sort of like create the blocks. So, for example, if I go to the top here, and I always go, when I'm creating a new row or anything, I always go to the top of the page because it's nice to make sure that you're kind of like away from all the rest of the content, so you don't sort of like end up sort of like creating a row within a row, for example. There is a way of checking all this, which I'm going to show you in a second. And I go to the top and I hit enter, and then the first thing I do is you can click these plus buttons come up whenever you get a new row, and this allows you to add so that's not a right way of describing it. Whenever you hit enter, you get a plus button, and the plus button then allows you to add different blocks to this area, and so you can have a row block, a column block, and sort of like lots of blocks within those. But I always start off by doing a row first. So I click here, this plus button, and I'll set up my row. And I can't actually see the row listed there, but what you can do is you can just type in the word row, and the row layout comes up. Another way of doing it actually is without even clicking this plus button, you can do a / and then type in the word row, and the row will come up. And then it will say, how many columns do you want in that row? Maybe 2. There they are. Then you get plus buttons here again, which means you can add a block to these columns now. So you click plus, and maybe we want a paragraph block in this one. So we do paragraph text there. I'm just any old, you can write anything in here actually. And this block here, I want an image. So I click the plus button, and I either upload this image straight from my computer, or I can go to the media library. Whenever you load anything into this website, it always goes into the media library, and then that enables you then to share the thing that share the images in the media library with any page you like. So let's just put this one in there. This one's got some good text in, alt text in there as well, like I mentioned before, if you saw the other video. And actually, if I click on this image in particular, you can see the alt text here on this page as well. So when you're in actually at page level as well, it pulls in the alt tags from your media library, but you can also add things that are maybe just applicable to this page. So, you know, sort of like, I could add our services. It's the services page, which makes sense. And then if people are looking for architect services, so maybe we need to wear the word architect there. Architect, oh, let's try and spell it right first of all. Architect services, our architect services room, and there, this page now, this image on this page is now optimized for this particular type of page. And now I can type in this something about this is our latest architect project. So we'll use the word architect for sort of South Wales or whatever it is, and then sort of, you know, type in a bunch of sort of like content that is, you know, friendly for search engines. And then when I've done that, I've now got the whole row. I can select the whole row, and assuming this has got a bunch of content in here, and like move that row neatly into the place that I want. Now, I'm going to come off this page in a minute, and I'm not going to save it because I don't want this on this page. It's just to show you what I'm doing. If I go to the top again, maybe I want to do something with this block here. Well, I can click on this, and this doesn't really, I'm not really sure, because this goes right over the edge, I'm not sure whether I'm actually in a row or, yeah, that might be that is the full row actually, but you know, I might not be sure. But a way you can tell, and this I always use this, is if you click this list view here, it actually shows you that where the main rows are, and then if you click in between, it tells you that there is a selection there, and this selection is the smart sliders. That's correct. This next one down here, there's a space divider. I don't usually use space dividers, but there seems to be one there. Oh, I know why I have. I know why, because it's that that space divider. I've actually put a little green thing on there. Trying to remember what I actually did. So you can go through like this, and it's quite useful. For example, if I go to the bottom here and I click enter, this plus button comes up again, and it allows me to sort of, like, you know, if I want to put a video in here, you know, from YouTube, you know, I could do that, and then I can put the YouTube URL in the bottom. So that, you know, so this block area, when you hit enter and you get that plus thing, very, very useful. When I come to the top, if I want to do it, I can stick a plus button there, or maybe above here I can maybe get one above the services. Yeah, and it becomes a little bit sort of like, how do I get a plus button at the top above the word services there? But because I've got this open, I can see that that's the advanced text there. But by clicking these three buttons here, I can insert before, and then I can put something there. So it's quite good for sort of like not only navigating around the page, but being able to insert things when it's a little bit confusing. Maybe the which block I'm in. Well, hopefully you grasp my sort of like what I'm trying to do there, what I'm trying to say. So that's what I'd say about the pages. Going back to, I'm going to come out this page now and I'll leave it, because obviously I don't want to save anything. Always click the update button if you want to save anything. If I go to your projects, look at your projects page, there are several ways of pulling projects in. Because of the sort of like particular style that you guys wanted, I couldn't do it in the kind of traditional way. So what I did was I built it like a gallery, and then you can click the gallery to take you to individual projects. in actual fact, before I look at the projects, let me show you where those projects are. So every time you create an individual project, it's in the post section. So each project has a particular post associated with that project. I did it this way because it's very Google friendly. Creating projects as posts is something that sort of like the search engines understand very well, and you'll get a better ranking because of it. So this is your Penny Common one. If I click on edit, I can edit this. I can edit this sort of post, this project, and there it is there. And once again, it's done in a 2-row setup. This row here, I've got all the content. It's all sent to the bottom. It's all aligned to the bottom, as we discussed, and yeah. So that's how the project page looks, and within each of these project pages, I'm in the block part now, but if you click this word post and scoot down, you will see a category section, and this is in Ewan's category. I did this because eventually you might want sort of like different sort of like projects labeled to you in particular, or Adam. You could have it as one of Adam's projects. It's not working at the moment because we're not doing it like that. But if we ever decide to sort of like kind of have an individual project page for Adam or an individual project page for Ewan, we can do that because I've put the labels in there. Projects is ticked. So because the word projects is ticked, it will come up on any page where you ask it to pull in all the projects, all the project posts. So I've always kind of like got these categories ticked. I mean, you don't really need to remember too much of this, because if you're creating a new project, all you have to do is to click this clone button. And clicking the clone button, well, let's do it. I'm actually just cloning this. And all I've now got to do is I've just got to go in. This is the title. I've just got to change the title. Click on the image here. These are the images associated with this. So all I've got to do is to sort of like change the images in this gallery so that the images now belong to this new project we're creating. I changed this to the new project title with a bit of gump at the bottom there, sort of about the new project, and then save it. And then that will save it as a new entity above here, and it will say, instead of saying that draft, it will say new project. So basically, it's about a 5-minute job just to clone a previous one, and you're done, rather than having to sort of set up the columns and rows. I always do it that way. I'm going to bin it for now. With all of these projects, you can view the page. If I view the page, that's that particular page for this project, and it's all got its own unique URL. And I can copy that new URL, and I can use that throughout the website. And the reason I sort of say that is because if I go back into the website and I go now to pages and I look at your project page, so here's your projects, and like I say, we've laid things out in a gallery, and each item in that gallery, if you click on it, it takes you to the individual post or the individual project. And the way you do that is that if I click on this gallery here and edit it, I see all the stuff in the gallery. Now let's assume that I wanted to add what I'm calling a let's assume I'm going to add this one here, which is the one I'm just looked at here. I just click add to gallery, so I'm going to add an image to the gallery. Now I know it's already got one for that, but I'm going to find another one. And if you do, as I mentioned in the previous video, label things by a rememberable title and an alt tag, if you just type in that project, it will actually sort of like come up with images that are related, that are named in that way. So I can now add that one to the project. Is it Penny Commons, isn't it? And that should now appear down the bottom there. There's the new Penny Commons thing. But when I click on it, it's not going to go anywhere. So what I need to do now is to just click on the individual image and paste in, not there, come on. Paste in that, which is the URL I grabbed from there. Now if I go to sort of your projects page, so I need to come out of here, one sec. I should have clicked on work, that's where it is, isn't it? For the project. Good. There he is, there's the new one. And it goes straight to it. It's obviously going to the old one because that's the link I've given it. But obviously, hopefully that makes sense. And I will end the video. If you want to know anything else, just let me know. But there's a sort of like a few tips on how it's actually set up.